Hey you guys, how's it going? So today I wanted to react to this video that I found on YouTube, obviously. And it sounds really insane. I'll just read the title out to you guys. Ask babies for consent before changing diapers. It's basically these two feminists who are arguing that babies deserve the right to be asked for consent. I feel so weird even saying this out loud right now. But I think it kind of shows you how absurd like social justice has gotten in our society. Like I feel like when the human rights movement, mainly in America, basically took strides to actually grant humans real rights, so like, you know, rights to you know, be with who you want, and right for more like social rights for like black people to be fucking human beings. Some people have taken it almost as like a golden ticket, if you will, to argue rights for anything. Like kind of it shows you how delusional people are and how out of touch they are with what it means to have human rights. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think it's so hilarious to me that I just had to react. I hope I don't get copyrighted. I'm just gonna react to the news segment. So let's get to it. Okay, I'm gonna start it.
In a recent appearance on Australian television, pink-haired, self-described sex educator Deanne Carson said that parents should ask babies for their consent before changing their diapers. The intent, she said, is to foster a culture of consent for babies, who would be, of course, in deep trouble if they actually needed to supply consent for anything.
I'm gonna pause it.
That's obviously crazy.
I honestly feel like these people are genuinely traumatized people who need actual help. Like, and they're kind of hiding behind the facade of like being social justice warriors and kind of processing their traumas that way. Sorry, my dress is like, this dress is frustrating to her. And they're like almost processing their trauma by standing up for a cause and projecting like actual trauma.
Doesn't mean it won't happen or become the law in this country. And so to check on what the future is going to look like, we bring, as always, our little Sherpa, Kathy Aroo,
really sad
to join us. She's the founding publisher of Catalina Magazine. Kathy, thanks for coming on.
Pretty fucking hilarious. So let's just get right to watching this.
Thanks for having me.
So, consent for diaper changing from babies. This raises, leaving aside whether it's a good idea, it raises the obvious practical question.
Yeah.
How would a baby give consent?
Well, the idea isn't exactly, the baby's not exactly going to say yes or no, but she's saying give the baby a few moments, talk to the baby, say, is it okay, I'm going to change your nappy, because she's Australian, so that's how they say diapers. Yes. Can I change your nappy? You wouldn't say that to an American baby. I don't think the American baby would understand, but it's actually just teaching consent, what consent is. It's teaching bodily autonomy. It's teaching, hey, I'm not going to touch your body if you don't want me to. It's just like talking to a baby about anything. Like, mommy loves you, daddy loves you. So people talk to babies all the time. Like, so why wouldn't the concept of talking to a baby while doing something so serious as, you know, changing a diaper be so ridiculous? Sounds
because
quite
you
normal.
don't typically expect a baby to respond in a way that you can understand. Again, how do you know what consent looks like? So let's just do a little role playing, if we could. You be the
Role-playing.
baby,
I'm the
I be
baby.
the parent.
Okay, and you're changing
and
my
I
diaper.
say, I'm going to
She
make this
took
change.
offense to that.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's
you,
like,
how
"Oh,
do you
I'm the baby."
express your consent? Or
She's like, "You sexist asshole. Of course I would be the baby."
lack of consent for that?
Well, if I start crying, something's wrong. So you probably don't want to do anything at that moment because you wouldn't want to make diaper changing something that goes along with crying. You would probably want me to be in a healthy state of mind so that in the future,
Please
when
tell
it
me
comes
she's
to
not a
those
mother.
private
Like,
things,
please tell
I'd be in
me
a healthy
this
state of
human
mind. I'd be
being
a
did not
well-adjusted
reproduce.
adult.
That's
So
all
Well,
I
well-adjusted
maybe you
baby
wanna
were
would be a
know.
well-adjusted
crying,
adult.
but maybe the child's
being
crying
so
because his
patient.
diaper is dirty.
Right, obviously, yeah. So, I mean, the parent would have to be the best judge of that, but I guess if you would
Okay.
make me cry, if you asked me if I wanted you to, and then I started crying, then maybe you should get a hint. Take the hint.
And just
Would it
leave
be like an
the
eye
baby
gesture?
sitting
Like, I mean, you're a mom.
in its
Do
pile
your
of
kids?
shit.
I mean, can you read their facial expressions and know
It's
that they're
super-
what they're
it's super
saying?
healthy. Erickson said, an expert, a baby expert, that from 0 to 2 are the trust years. So during these trust years, you want the baby to trust you. So there's nothing wrong with talking to a baby and those situations, just teaching a baby how to trust. So this is a moment where you're teaching a baby to trust you. So I don't think the baby is expected to necessarily give consent. You're just teaching the baby to trust you. You're
What if
asking
the
a baby
kid-
for bodily. You're asking the baby to express
Like,
bodily.
I can't figure out if she's like stifling her own, this sounds awful, like trauma that happened to her, because it doesn't make sense for like a mentally stable human being to be saying this. There's no way that she has absolutely no issues. Like, it just doesn't compute for me, honestly.
Autonomy. I think that's the big point.
Right.
here.
Babies
Yeah.
they're not super great at understanding English in my experience of having a number of them.
But this is how they
but
learn
maybe other
English.
babies are more intelligent than mine were. But what if the child keeps saying no, like over a period of weeks? And you keep
She's a
going in there, you're not
child
really like to change the diaper, but the child refuses to give me consent. At some point, that becomes
is giving
neglect,
these
right?
people
And also
I
nasty.
think it's the concept of teaching,
Like,
teaching the
certification
consent,
in
talking
things
about
they're
it.
not
During that moment, so
competent
many
at.
parents do not
What is
discuss
going
it,
on?
and the babies grow up, and in the English language, they're not even used to talking about those things. So the concept is teaching trust. It's trust issues.
But you don't really
can't.
discuss
She's like
anything
laughing.
with a baby. I mean, it's in the
You
same
You
sense.
discuss
You
everything
may
with the
talk
baby.
to your dog,
I'm
but
going
you
to touch
don't
your arm. I'm
discuss
going to
with
put
your
this.
dog.
It's like,
I'm going to
"Bitch,
put
are
this
you
lotion on your
serious
arm.
right
You talk about
now?"
everything. I'm
It's
going
like,
to
"Are you
dress
kidding
you.
me?"
Parents talk to babies
about-
all day long. I'm going to
What
cook
about
dinner
a
for you.
polio vaccine? Should you, or
You're going to have
polio,
yes, you're going to get a
smallpox? Would-
vaccine. I mean, dead
Right?
people have to give consent. That you can't give organs if you don't give consent, right? So if you have consent, even dead people can make decisions. Why can't babies?
You
So from
can't.
Dead
birth
people can
to-
make decisions? How do they do that?
Well, you have to give consent to have the organs taken after you die. So if you can give consent from
They-
a baby year to your death. People should always give consent if their body is going to be.
She's comparing an adult giving consent while alive to be an organ donor. She's comparing their, like, the credibility of their consent after they're dead to that of a baby. Like, that's how smart this child expert is. This is our child expert. What the fuck? What the fuck?
So,
Touched.
right. So if the child says no, I don't want, the baby
He's getting
indicates by
pissed.
crying
He's like,
or
"No,
rolling his
she's not
eyes, I
trolling.
don't
She's
want a
serious."
polio vaccine. Then you just don't get him a polio vaccine. Then
I think it's the idea of discussing it with the baby. The consent, I don't think, is necessarily the issue. It's the idea.
oh.
You're developing
So
trust.
even if the baby says no, no doesn't really mean no, is what you're saying.
The baby can't talk during the diaper
Right.
years,
So with babies,
so-
no doesn't mean no. I totally get that. Where does the obedience part come in? Is there any part in the relationship with your child where the child learns to obey what you say? Or is it always kind of a give and take, a colloquy with a mute person?
This is about conversation, talking to the baby. It's conversation. It's not disciplining. These aren't the discipline
Conversation.
years. as child experts.
Is there a
would
point
say.
where the baby says, Mom, please stop talking. You talk
Or
too
Dad,
much. Just
or
go
Dad.
ahead and change the diaper. I
How
don't think
is
most
the
dads
baby
would go for
having
this,
a
but I mean,
conversation
whatever. Maybe
if the baby
Dad. I
can't
don't know.
say
You know,
no?
hey,
Right.
parents,
Like,
stop talking.
obviously
Just go
this
ahead and
lady
change
is
it.
insane.
I don't think these are the years that the baby would be able to respond, but it's just getting the concept of, I'm touching your body, you have bodily autonomy, you should always have the right to say yes or no if someone's going to touch your body, and I'm going to teach that concept right now during the trust years, which is
I like the
0 to 2.
concept that kids do what they're told. That's my favorite concept for kids.
I think she
Yeah.
has some
Do what we tell
unprocessed
you to do.
trauma.
Kathy Aru, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Speaking of annoyances, we want to get your thoughts on this gentleman. A relationship expert called Deanne Carson has come out overnight and said parents should ask their babies for permission before they change their nappies. Have a listen to this first.
Oh, God, next subject.
I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Of course, the baby's not going to respond. Yes, Mum, that's awesome. I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting that child know that their response matters.
Oh, God. Oh.
Jeff.
Next subject.
No, Jeff, seriously
Well,
here.
I tell you what, this is a subject on which Mark is much better qualified to
Yes,
answer.
expert.
Mark, what
Over
would
to
you
you.
like to say about this lady?
Well, it's the equivalent of talking to yourself. Because having changed hundreds of nappies in my time, the baby never answers back. And I'm afraid the young lady there talking to herself should be locked up. This is certifiable insanity. Just change the baby's nappy. The baby's got poo and wee in the nappy. Help your kid instead of this delusion that somehow the 3-month-old infant is going to talk back. It is cuckoo.
I think
There
was
is
a
the voice
point,
of
though, where they
honesty
talked about
and
putting
truth.
later
I
than
cannot
Totally.
believe
They've
you two
agreed.
agree on something. Ring the bell. All right.
Quite a lot there this morning.
Thank you, you two. We'll talk to you from London next week, hopefully.
There's an expert in Britain. I love what
Ben
now
Shapiro
passes for
talking
being an
about
expert.
it.
It's pretty spectacular. This is an expert in Britain trying to explain that parents should ask babies for permission to change their diapers. This is a sexuality expert and author named Deanne Carson. And she was speaking to ABC News in Australia. And she was asked what age clients she works with. She said, we work with children from 3 years old. We work with parents from birth. And then Carson explains exactly what she means by that.
We work from children from 3 years old. We work with parents from birth.
From birth.
Yeah. Just about how to set up a culture of consent in their homes. So I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Of course, the baby's not going to respond. Yes, Mum, that's awesome. I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting that child know that their response matters.
No.
No.
Okay, as a parent of two, as a parent of a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, one of whom is out of diapers and the other one who will soon be out of diapers, I hope. Okay, here's the truth. If you leave your kids to
They
decide
will
when they want
never.
their diapers changed,
Yeah.
they will have diaper rash forever. Forever. Okay, if I let my 2-year-old son explain to me when he wants his diaper changed, first of all, he's really smart, so he actually does. Like, he as soon as he goes to the bathroom, he immediately tells us. Like, right then, he says, okay, pee-pee, poo-poo, whatever, and then we go and change him. But my daughter was not so much like that, right? When she was very young, she